Yeah.
And our seventh question, reverence, misuse, and retirement. What happens to vestments that are old, torn, or retired from use? Like you are explaining about the Eucharist
Yeah.
vessels.
Sacred things are not thrown away just like that. You have a chasuble, maybe it was stained by jig. You cannot go with such an ugly thing on to the just very big patch because of detergents. Somebody washed it badly. It cannot be repaired. Others got old. Just a blessing and maybe burn. Just like the Eucharist. Somebody will mix. What do you do? There is a way of disposing so that it may not be profaned. You correct it very well. You soak it in water. You make it stay for a good time, maybe 1, 2, 3 days. It dissolves in water. The elements of the substance of the Eucharist disappear, and then you can dig somewhere in a flower garden or in a very appropriate place and you dispose it. The same with the garments, the same with the cups, you destroy them.
Oh, so there is a way you do it.
Yes.
How does the church handle improper or trivialical use of vestments?
The abuse. Of course, Christians know, or our Christians know, these are vestments for consecrated men and women. So you cannot use it anyhow. It may be an indication that you are trying to do priestly gestures, which has some many punishments from the bishop, from the parish. So and so stole a child's boy, is using it like that. So it is a strict order not to use them anyhow. Otherwise there is punishment.
So not anyone can just do it.
For instance, I am in the formation house. If I get a seminarian wearing a chasuble which they cannot even dare even allow, then I know something is very wrong with that person. You cannot use vestments anyhow. Somebody who is not ordained comes and puts a chasuble. You may think that there's something mentally. It's not okay.
What would you say to someone who sees vestments as unnecessary or overly ceremonial?
You see, even in our traditions, why do you value your traditions? Because of the symbols that you have. Look at, for instance, the Maasai. When people even come all the way from other countries, do they take pictures with the others? They only take pictures with the Maasais. It is an external thing. The Maasai is the man himself, not the clothes. But the beauty of maintaining those items, the shuka, the beads for their mama, the bangles, you see, the earrings, those people that keep their tradition, they have a certain kind of dignity. If you have methods of doing a dowry, at this visitation you do this, at this other visitation you do this, at this you offer this. What would you say? Another person just arrives and gives a bundle of money to the parents and go. I would prefer the other one, which is having a lot of symbols. Because we are made in such a manner that we understand what we see, hear, and touch. So the more you provide, the more people give seriousness to the matter. Yeah. If you just say, you stay like this, you say, I imagine Jesus is here. It is different from take this body, eat. It is mine. Jesus knew that you could meditate about him and retain him in the heart. But he introduced the act of eating, drinking. Yeah? For ourselves too, we have those items to make the symbolic signs, to make the idea, which is supposed to be in the mind and the heart, to be more elaborate and understood more. Use those symbolic signs. Even children. Which children do you think will understand more? If you stand in front of the children and you just speak things. And those other children that have symbols on the wall, you draw trees, fruits, animals. You count using pebbles for children. That issue of physical issue makes the human being understand and remember more. That is also why we have the statue. We know Mary is there. We know Jesus was crucified. But when you put a cross with a figure, the intimacy of the soul with Jesus crucified gets better. When you mention Mary, the picture, even after leaving the church, remains in the heart. If you meet somebody like that on the road, you are Kamau Maria. Because there is a picture. Not that it is exactly Mary looking like that. That is not the main issue. The main issue is your mind is able to meditate about that saint, about that symbol of salvation, about the cross, the gestures we do, the sign of the cross, the kneeling, the standing, the extending of the hands, the sitting, the jumping up and down. You can still pray fixed in one place, sitting down. But when you use several gestures, it has more meaning. Ukienda mahali, you sit down all the time. Another one is sitting, kneeling, raising hands, walking, coming back, greeting. It is more elaborate to the mind than if you don't have signs.
Okay. How can parishes help reignite reverence for the liturgy through better understanding of the Vestments?
Yeah, from time to time we do that to make people have reverence and knowing the meaning. For instance, whenever the season starts, where I go for that particular mass, I will take part of the homily to tell them even the colors that we will follow. I tell them, for instance, this is the Paschal candle. It has the signs of the wounds of Jesus, the 5 wounds of Jesus. So we have those like that one there. You see that behind there you have the Paschal candle. It has the 5 wounds of Jesus. It has the cross. It has the year 2025. You see, you explain every sign as the year goes down. Another year begins, you explain again. So when they go to the church and see that the altar is in red, they already know the priest will come in red. They already know the priest will enter with green. And not only that, they know the meaning. You see, a Christian comes from Kenya and goes to America. He sees the color the priest is knowing. He will ask, why are the priest wearing purple, and it is not rent, and it is not Advent? It means it is a funeral. It is a funeral mass, without even asking anyone, even without understanding the language. Yesterday, I was talking with an old lady. He went to Nyanza for a funeral, and he's from central Kenya, speaking Kikuyu, never had Luo. But he said, Father, we are one. I understood everything. The father will be saying, Luo, I would understand in my mother tongue and answer with it, and we finish with the people. You see? Because there is that uniformity. So when you explain to the people every event, they get more involved. And then again, even making them offer those things as gifts. Instead of you buy from the offering or what. A family can buy a chasuble. Father, whenever you celebrate Mass with this, we will be feeling that you are including us in your prayer more than if it were not. So you can see a Jumuiya buying those. If you go to the Jumuiya Mass, they have their table. Maybe it can be folded or something like that. I have seen that in Nyeri, in Muranga. Every Jumuiya has a table that can be portable. So they don't use any altar. They don't use any table. And then it is also recommended that table that you have used for the Eucharist, immediately you finish the Mass, don't come there putting word. You fix the table at a corner. Even though you may remove the candles, but don't praise anything. Don't praise any food. Use other things. Hold the food with your hands. That altar has still the aroma of the Eucharist, so you don't use it. So when you tell people such things, you see how deeply they meditate what you are saying. Because this is for Christ today. Yeah. And some say, until Father leaves, we don't uncover that table, we don't remove the candles, we don't remove the flowers, until Father leaves the compound. Even if you are not eating. So you see, they begin to understand. Yeah. And to pay more attention and reverence.
And to our 8th question, future and formation. How are seminarians and newly ordained priests formed in the spiritual and practical understanding of Vestments?
First of all, the priests and seminarians, they have a lot of advantage because our clergy go through a vigorous training for the longest time of all the clergy. Some even more than 10 years. All those years, not a day passes without celebrating the Mass. Not a day passes without using those items we have just explained. So, the person will learn about them in class, from the teacher, from the lecturer. The person also goes and researches individually in the library. Then the person goes to the church, and all of them have a chance to go to the sanctuary and use the vestments to help the priest vest and see what they do during the vesting. So, theory in the class, practical in the church. Then, when they go for holiday, they use them. They see the priest using them in the liturgical world. So, by the time you are a priest, you may think a person who has just come and the priest is doing the first Mass will not know the difference between him and the priest who has been priesthood for 50 years. Because he has gone through that vigorous training. Yeah. He has been, some are made sacristans. They know how to keep those things. They know how to open that book. The priest tells them, prepare the Mass. He knows how to turn the pages, where to go, the gesture to use before they are ordained. If you are to be ordained on the first day you enter the seminary, there will be a lot of havoc to the new priests. And then again, you have old ones ahead of you. You ask questions. Father, I am going for the first Mass. What do you do in a wedding? Of course, I studied. Taking me through what I should do in the wedding. Take me through what should I do to the coffin. Because nimeenda misa ya mazishi. It is my first funeral. You will not know that it is the first one because he has studied, he has been explained, they have even demonstrated in class what to do. So when they come there, they do perfect.
And what can lay people do to appreciate and support the use of vestments in their parish?
Of course, there is that getting involvement of course, buying them, preserving them, taking care of them, And also, maybe even being explained the meaning, as I've said. As lay people, they can do that. They can offer them as gifts. They are told why they are used. So almost the same knowledge that the priest is having, they will have. Yeah. And then the fact that not everybody is sent to buy them. In our bookshops, if you go, they will not sell you those items if you are not a priest. Or even they don't know you. Of course, there is a way of confirming that this one is a priest. Yeah. A priest will, you will know this one is a priest. Even on the road, even when you meet, you know this is a Catholic priest. I remember once going to Kisi at night, and a priest just, the wheel had a problem. He did not have, he forgot, somebody took away the spanners from the boot without him knowing, maybe the one who was washing the car or something. So people would come, because of fearing, they would pass. And it was a very dangerous corner. It is at night. He has his mother and his sister and someone else. When I was about to pass, I saw the collar. I know our things. So I looking, I said, this is not even a pastor, this is a Catholic priest. Even the personal clothes. I see the attire of the personal clothes, and as to this, I just stopped, I helped him, we moved them. So the priests, you will know the smell of your home. You know your father, you know this sister, you know. Yeah? And you know the kind of respect you should give to those sacred items. You put them well. Even at home, you have crucifixes. Yeah.
As we now reach the conclusion of our topic, the ninth question is Christ at the center, the Christological meaning of vestments. In what ways do the vestments worn during Mass reflect Christ himself, his person, his mission, or his suffering and glory?
Each vestment, as I said in the beginning, represents a certain aspect of the mission of Christ. At one point it may mean chastity, at another time it means sacrifice, at another moment it may mean service to the people. So vestments, in a way, you see little children, the PMC, the little ones, those 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, they call us Jesus. Not that their mother tells them, but they call us Jesus. I have seen in many parishes like that. When yes, Jesus. And one time there was no mass in the hall where they go for Sunday school. The priest missed. Everybody was in the main mass except the children, their teacher. So the following Sunday, one of the children refused to go to the hall. And mom asked, why don't you go to the... Jesus did not come on Sunday. So, such an innocent soul says that. And even when going to, with those vestments to bless homes, you repeat what Jesus was doing. You go from house to house, indoor, entering the house, blessing their table room, their bed, their bedroom, all the corners of the compound, their livestock. They see the presence of the Lord. You go to see the sick and the old. As Jesus was consoling the sick, you do the same. When they are mourning, immediately I have noted people are making noise everywhere, moving around. The car of the priest arrives. Nobody tells people to get silent. You feel that everybody is so as you are coming with your mass box, going in front there. You see immediate reference, not only Catholics, everyone. Watu wakuja, Father amefika. Especially when you enter with your vestments, when you enter with your cassock, you immediately see the reference. They conclude their things without you telling them. So you are involved in their mourning, you go to bury their dead, go to visit their old people. You go when they are celebrating even birthdays, their anniversaries, you come into the midst, they feel the presence of Christ. Even the way of sitting changes. That the physical many times explain what is the expression of the heart. Yeah.
And the alb symbolizes purity, the stole authority, and the chasuble charity. How do each of these remind the priest and the faithful of aspects of Christ's identity?
You say the chasuble?
The chasuble
for charity. The stole for authority. And
the alb for purity.
Yeah.
And how do each of these remind the priest and the faithful of aspects of Christ's identity?
Yeah. Of course, Christ is pure. So the alb, I said, is always white. No matter who the priest, the alb is always white, representing Christ who was really holy. And you cover your humanity. We are weak. We are sinners. But then putting on the alb, you say, it is not now the sinner who is talking to you. I'm talking in his person. I am representing him. What I say is what he says. So that is why you meditate the word of God before you speak out, so that you may represent him perfectly. Then you have the stole. The stole is for authority. Yeah. It is good that if the priest directs, you agree. There are some people who have habits of, I don't know where they could be, from the worldly issues. They say the previous priest was saying, we do. No. This time round, Father so-and-so is the one in charge of the parish. And he has said, I want this, I want this, I want this. He has his own way of doing. You obey him. You don't even call the other one. Tumeambiwa na so-and-so, Father so-and-so, tufanye. No. He's not in charge now. He's a symbol of authority. You want to celebrate Mass in that particular jumuiya, you go through the parish. Yeah, the symbol of authority is the one. The authority goes with that hierarchy. In the parish, we have the parish priest. Then the priest there represents the bishop, and the bishop represents the pope directly. So the stole stands for authority, and the authority gives order. You cannot be now, for instance, you are the moderator. You go against the parish priest. That work cannot have blessings. Yeah, it must have. Even going, when the bishop keeps the priest there, you receive the orders from the bishop, from the priest. You don't make a journey to the bishop without telling the priest. Now, that kind of hierarchy, order brings beauty. Order brings beauty. So the stole represents. You see, even when the Pope came there for the blessing after being chosen, he came wearing a stole. We had the cassock, the surplice, then the mozzetta. On top of the mozzetta, there was the stole, to represent authority. Then you have the chasuble. The chasuble is the yoke of Christ. where he said, my yoke is easy to carry, though heavy, but it is very easy to carry, because it is carried with love. That love is what we are calling charity. And it holds all the other things together. That is why it is on top. Yeah.
And some say that the priest acts in persona Christi during Mass. How do the vestments visually reinforce the sacred role?
Okay. In persona Christi. In persona Christi is the Latin expression for in the person of Christ. Yeah. So the vestments, I don't come with my plain clothes. The Eucharist will still be Eucharist if I do that. But the vestments, just as I have said, when I put them on, children will call me Jesus. And nobody has instructed them. It just comes out. If a child can sense that, there is a child in each one of us. Yeah. If you come to me dressed like this, would you give me a beer? Should not give me a beer. You are thinking, Father, there is water. But if I remove this, you will bring me a tasker without any pigamizi. So if I want you to give me tasker, I will remove this herb, I remove the collar. You know I'm a priest, but you have more courage to ask me if I could take a beer like that. Just as I said, the externals many times enhance the interior, the mind, the heart. Yeah. So science will always mean what they represent. Of course, if you are going to Nairobi and there is a post saying, welcome to Nairobi, you don't say you have arrived. But the realization of Nairobi being too near becomes real. And you prepare yourself to even leave the bus in a few minutes. So the vestments, because of what you have been taught, the robes, that white robe, the color of them, it increases the solemnity.
And during the Passion, Jesus was stripped of his garments. Does this have a liturgical symbolism in contrast to the sacred vesting before Mass?
Yeah. When the vestments when the clothings of Jesus were removed, it was a kind of saying, I have taken away the world from myself, so that that kind of interest towards the world was not with him anymore. Because he could give everything for the sake of our salvation, including the material clothing. It was a symbol of saying, away from the world. Now the priest coming to vest, he comes with his worldly attire and covers it. It is not like you could not go naked, but then your day-to-day attires are not the ones that you enter the Mass with. That is why I told you this herb, we don't use them normally for going around. We use them at the sanctuary. So when you are with your clothing, it is like naked, like the world. But now you have put on the armor of the Lord.
Are there particular vestments or moments in the vesting ritual that reflect Jesus as high priest, servant, or sacrifice?
Yeah. The chasuble and the stone. The chasuble is the loving Christ who sacrificed himself for the sake of the world. So that aspect is there of sacrifice. Yeah. And then that of his role as the leader is also represented in those clothings. Yeah.
And then in summary, what would you say that these vestments would mean personally to yourself?
From my experience, of course, you feel there is a kind of intimacy with Christ when you put the vestments. Even sometimes wonder. You feel the holiness around you, surrounding you. For instance, now I have put this, and I calculate a lot what I'm about to say. I say only what I have meditated. Outside there, anyone will come out, I will comment anything. But here I am strict. I fix to the liturgy. I avoid jokes. Even the way of putting the hands. When you see for instance, the day of ordination, nobody tell the newly ordained to stay this way. Maybe he may not do that later so much, but on that particular day, akivalishwa tu hivi, something like a reflex action comes. Still with reverence. Yeah? Put your hands well. Because of that, the vestments give you that kind of touch. If I had a suit, I would just drop my hands. It is something like it affects the psychological part of your being. Even the way of walking. Even the way of putting your feet. If I was wearing like you now, I would easily do this. Have you ever seen a priest like this at a mass? Nobody told them to stay with the hands, with the feet like that. It gives you a kind of reference. You don't keep scratching, when you're in front of people. Do you see priests putting their ears, their fingers into or maybe doing something like that? It gives you a kind of neatness. You don't scratch the heads, don't do gestures of that nature. Nobody told them. But go around, you will not see that kind of behavior. The vestment looks holy, reflects holiness, reflects who are you representing at that particular moment. And generally, even the sermon, sometimes you go unprepared, not well prepared completely. But after the mass, you say, who was speaking? Because what I said, I have never said in another occasion. This is my 20 years. I've never said such a thing as I said. But I never prepared well. I thought I did not prepare. People even clapped. People wept. Because the way you are also dressing is giving you an insight. You are putting on a holy thing.
Lord, thank you so much for staying with us and giving us a very deep in depth about the vestments of the church. So, thank you.
Thank you for it. Awesome.
Yeah. And thank you also as we conclude on our last episode about vestments.
Thank you. Thank you.